Well, it's time to talk about Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. Compared to the first game, it was improved in every aspect. The least improvement can be seen in graphics quality. That's because they were released about the same time. The most noticeable part of graphics that changed is probably terrain details. Now we have bigger variety in textures, and hills now look realistic like actual hills and not like pyramids. Also, this game runs much smoother. You may experience some framerate drops in mass battles, but most of the time it's comfortable to play. Save files finally can be sorted by date, and even if you sort them by name, digits are treated as a number and not as a string. In the previous game you had something like this. Though I wish there was some sort of automatic naming with the current mission's name and the date or playtime. That would be perfect. After you finish a mission, you can return to the map and see what you might have missed. That's cool, no need to scout everything if you're just curious what was in that far corner of the map. There is a bug where you can't see health bars of some ships, but apart from that, I didn't encounter any other bugs. And that's all I have to say about technical state of the game. Let's move to the story. At the beginning, game walks you through a nice tutorial in the form of William Wallace campaign. Then you can choose any other campaign you want to play out of multitude of them. Each campaign consists of 4 to 7 missions and describes the life of a single historical figure commanding the army rather than a civilization like it was in the first game. This approach makes the story more personal than it was in the first Age of Empires, since it is easier for a player to empathize to a person than a nation. Historical references are gone, but it only helped the game. You don't spend 10 minutes before each mission reading them anymore, but the historical aspect is still there. Now, instead of reading, you listen to a fully voiced over briefing and watch a slideshow consisting of magnificent arts. Slideshow may sound a little bit lazy, but believe me, it is done with diligence. Art design of this slideshow is impressive, and the voice acting is on a high level. Every campaign has different narrator with unique accent fitting the story.
She told us that she intended to rescue France. The darkness lifted from the men's souls. Her voice rang with conviction, and we drank in her every word. I may have lost my faith, but Joan has not lost hers, and that is enough for me.
The amenities of his office meant nothing to him. While his chieftains and council ate off of silver plates, Attila's own plate and goblet were hewn from simple wood.
Some would say Barbarossa's rule was a failure, but is it not a greater testament to the man that it was the force of his will alone that held the empire together? And what of Henry the Lion? With Barbarossa gone, there was nothing stopping him from returning to the Holy Roman Empire. But I am an old man now. What harm could I possibly do?
But unfortunately, the game fails to connect a player with the story. They're separate things. The story goes independently from the player. You don't feel that you define the story. For example, in Red Alert 3 or StarCraft, you feel that you are the part of the story. You have impression that your actions matter despite outcomes of these games being predefined. You feel involved. Unfortunately, this does not apply to the Age of Empires. There is a short slideshow before and after each mission, and the mission, it's just a match against AI, and there is not much going on during the mission itself. Sometimes something interesting does happen through the course of the game, like betrayal from your allies.
Barbarossa, I have some unfortunate news for you. You see, it is I who should be Holy Roman Emperor. Kneel before the lion!
Or you may begin the mission with some interesting starting conditions.
Defeat my champion in combat, Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, and I will give you command of my army. Let the tournament begin!
But in general, the story and the gameplay don't look seamless. I guess it lacks interactivity and direction. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, just look at this. It's a game from the same developer.
Curse Dry and those who dwell within her walls. They torched our food stores and tents. Even most of the ships. We'll be lucky to even escape here now.
Escape? We just broke down one of the gates. We should be pressing our attack, not talking of escape.
The Trojans aren't going to wait for that. Surely they will attack again at any moment.
Not if they think we've left. Poseidon is the lord of horses. In Atlantis, a defeated general surrenders his horse when beaten.
A horse, yes. A great wooden horse.
I don't understand. Will it fight?
We can have this done quickly, and we don't have to rebuild any of the siege. Arcantos, I will need your help. Where to now, Arcantos?
Back to Atlantis. This was a welcome break from chasing pirates, but I need to return home.
Well, pirates or not, you need to get your boats repaired.
You don't think they can make it to Atlantis?
No.
In Age of Empires, you don't have this level of immersion. The problem lies in the concept itself. You can't really make an interesting story based on some historical events without fiction. Our lives are 95% boring. That's why we read books, watch movies and play games. We try to escape the boring reality. And that's why a mythological plot such as in Age of Mythology seems more engaging than a historical one like in Age of Empires. Because there you can make things up, and the only thing that limits you is your imagination. With historical setting, you don't have so much freedom. Music is nice, just like with the previous game. Nothing outstanding, but it gets the job done. Though in my opinion, music in the previous game was a bit catchier. Now let's discuss the gameplay. It's way better than it is in the previous game, but it is not perfect. Research is much faster than in the first Age of Empires. Now we spend less time waiting for an upgrade to finish. The variety of units, structures and upgrades can be overwhelming at first, so you'll need some time to remember them all. Units now have different formations. It is good and bad at the same time. It's good because you can automatically keep your archers behind your infantry, for example, but it is bad because when you slightly change the direction your group is moving, they start rebuilding this formation to face that direction, and it takes ages to do that. I have never had such problems in other strategies. Pathfinding has vastly improved, but sometimes units can get stuck. Trebuchet accuracy is rigged, just see for yourself.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Often, as your army moves forward, enemy starts rebuilding his base right behind your forces, and you start running in circles destroying something while the computer flanks you and rebuilds. Because of it, some campaign missions are tediously long. Also, AI may not have any gold deposits left, but will continue spamming the most expensive units out of nowhere. But despite everything I said, it's still enjoyable. Alas, after about 30 hours of gameplay, the game starts to feel repetitive. I think the problem is the same as with the first Age of Empires. The game needs different units and buildings for different civilizations. They had actually added some unique features, units and technology tree branches for specific civilizations, but mostly the units and structures are still the same. You quickly get used to them and the game becomes boring. And that's usually where the story keeps your attention and doesn't let you get bored with repetitive gameplay, but as I mentioned before, there is not much going on during the mission itself. Let's move to the conclusion. When I was talking about first Age of Empires, I said you can skip it and you will lose nothing. But in this case, I strongly recommend you to try. I can't guarantee that you'll like it till the end. Maybe you'll like it at first and then it'll get boring and you drop it, and it's totally fine. Even 20 hours spent good is, well, 20 hours spent good, right?
Isn't happy hour any time?
We live for experiences, and an experience you get from this game, good, mixed or bad, you will never know if you don't try it yourself. See ya.